How one inspiring waitress transformed an incredible betrayal into a hidden victory. The Heartland Diner buzzed with the familiar sounds of clattering dishes and laughter, a soundtrack of sorts for Sarah, who had spent many hours there balancing coffee pots and plates in a world where hope simmered alongside the daily specials. But this Tuesday morning, the vibrant atmosphere felt almost suffocating. A mistress of smiles, Sarah felt theirs cracking beneath the weight of betrayal. Her best friend, Julie, had swooped in and stolen her idea for the entrepreneurship competition, a pitch born of countless late-night talks and family recipes. The betrayal twisted in her stomach like an iron knife. As she served coffee to a table of regulars, the rich aroma felt hollow against the pangs of humiliation and grief swirling within her. Determined not to lose herself in pain, Sarah forced a smile as her mind raced through conflicting thoughts. Julie had been her confidant, her closest ally. Now, she replaced the bright future they had envisioned together with the cold sting of competition. Every sip of coffee she poured felt like another piece lost, spiraling her deeper into questions about loyalty and trust. The diner's chatter became a background noise, fading as Sarah struggled against the urge to confront her friend about what had happened. She was the dutiful waitress, yet she craved all that lay beyond the diner, her dreams of becoming a chef lost in the shadows of obligations. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. With each shift, the scalding betrayal simmered, and her internal conflict grew more chaotic. She could cling to loyalty or fight back against Julie's rising stardom. Each clink of silverware only deepened the discomfort in her chest. As her thoughts accumulated like dirty dishes, she caught a glimpse of herself in the diner's reflective glass. Someone shackled by compromise, denied the chance to unleash her creativity. The thought of letting her mother down if she dared to chase her dreams alone ignited a flicker of fear that quaked through her. And then there was Tom, the retired chef whose wisdom seemed to shine brighter with every passing day in the diner. He saw her potential, pulled her from the depths of self-doubt, and reignited her passion. But as Sarah stirred sauces at night in their clandestine kitchen sessions, the shadow of Julie's so-called success loomed over her like a dark cloud threatening to burst. Amidst the fragrant warmth of their dishes, Sarah fought a rising storm of emotions swirling within her. As the entrepreneurship competition approached, Sarah felt a surge of desperation. Each evening spent with Tom brought clarity on what she truly wanted. But with Julie's success, the stakes became painfully real. On the verge of a breakthrough, she knew that if she seized her chance in the competition, it might lead to a confrontation that could unravel years of loyalty. Just when she thought she could embrace decisiveness, a moment shattered her. Julie approached her with a quiver in her voice, confessing to an understanding that masked an apology. "We both know who the real talent is, Sarah," she said, her eyes trembling with tension. A tight knot formed in Sarah's throat, and in that instant, she was faced with the raw wound of betrayal against the desire for forgiveness. Would she choose to follow the familiar path of friendship, or would she stand fiercely for what belonged to her? The swirling emotions intensified, leaving her entangled in uncertainty, the weight of ambition heavy on her shoulders. The morning sun pierced through the diner's windows, bathing the tables in warm light. Yet for Sarah, that light only illuminated the shadows of doubt lingering in her heart. The conversation with Julie replayed repeatedly in her mind, each repetition deepening the wound of betrayal. It was as though she were trapped in a surreal loop, the reality of the competition looming closer, pulling her in directions she had never anticipated. Sarah opened the kitchen door, inhaling the familiar smells that had once brought her solace. Every time Tom began to instruct her, Sarah felt alive, her passion sparkling in the air like the fresh herbs they were chopping together. But today, every slice and simmer felt dull against the negativity swirling within her. She struggled to focus on the preparations, her thoughts flitting back to her conversation with Julie. Did she truly believe in Sarah's talent, or was it just a hollow attempt to belittle her? Tom paused as he noticed her slow movements. "You seem distracted, Sarah. What's on your mind?" His voice held a gentle authority, the kind that invited honesty. The words stumbled across her lips. She hesitated, fearing judgment. However, the need to voice her internal chaos surged. "Julie took my idea. I already feel like I'm losing everything." Without missing a beat, Tom placed a hand on her shoulder, anchoring her. "You have something special within you, Sarah. Your skills go beyond one idea. If she wants success built on your foundation, let her have it. But you must find your own voice, unfettered by her shadow." His words ignited a flicker of determination deep within her. The realization surged like adrenaline. Her journey was not defined by a contest or a single idea. It was about her growth, her evolution as a chef. But the thought of facing Julie, of publicly reclaiming what she felt belonged to her, terrified her. What would her friends think? What of their shared history? That evening, as the diner emptied out and darkness settled, a thought began to form. Perhaps this was her opportunity to refine her power and rise above betrayal. She could craft a new dish, something bold that embodied her unique vision. This creation could serve as her statement, not just for the competition, but for her awakening. As she experimented late into the night, the silence of the diner transformed into a sanctuary. Ideas flowed like the ingredients she meticulously combined. Each taste felt like a new revelation, reshaping her brewing confidence. The symphony of flavors she built began to echo her identity, a blend crafted from the depths of betrayal and the heights of ambition. The night wore on, and fatigue tugged at her. Yet she pushed through each moment, pouring all her frustrations and aspirations into the dish. As she stood before her final creation, a plate reflecting heart and soul, the sound of a bell chimed, echoing in the empty diner. At that moment, Sarah felt something shift. She questioned whether this dish could be more than just a recipe. It could represent everything she had battled against. But as the competition day crept closer, she still had yet to confront Julie. Would she risk it all by stepping into the spotlight of confrontation? And could her newfound dish be the vehicle for that transformation? The dawn of competition loomed like a storm on the horizon, filled with uncertainty and promise. Sarah inhaled deeply, allowing the thrill of what lay ahead to weave through her thoughts. As she entered the next chapter of her journey, one burning question echoed within. Was she prepared to stake her claim and navigate the tumultuous waters of friendship and ambition? The sun rose with a cruel brightness, chasing shadows into the corners of Sarah's mind as she prepared for the day ahead. The weight of her creation felt both exhilarating and suffocating, and she could hardly believe it was the same dish that had offered her hope just hours before. Each extract of flavor reflected her struggle, but what would that mean now that she had to face Julie? In the kitchen, her heart raced like a rabbit cornered by a hungry fox. Tom moved with purposeful efficiency, but Sarah found herself caught in a cacophony of memories. The laughter shared with Julie, the way their friendship had seamlessly bridged personal and professional aspirations. Was it all an illusion now? In her solitude while chopping vegetables, she glanced at the sleek knife glimmering under the harsh kitchen lights. A question burrowed deep within her. How could betrayal manifest into something beautiful? Would she transform this pain into a dish worthy of recognition, or would it remain a bitter reminder of loss? "Sarah," Tom's voice broke through her reverie, "you need to focus on what you can control. Today is not about her. It's about you and your vision. If you're distracted by what she's done, it will show in your work." His words rang true, cutting through the fog. Breathing deeply, she called upon her inner resilience. The competition was a platform to showcase her unique style. She started to gather the ingredients for her dish as confidence surged through her like a beast waking from slumber. There was beauty in what lay ahead, if she could embrace it, not just as a chef, but as a person reclaiming her narrative. As the clock ticked down, she surrounded herself with vibrant colors and rich aromas. Each fragment of her dish became a brushstroke in her vibrant narrative, painted across a plate. Yet as she plated, the reality of Julie's presence unsettled her. Would she even have the courage to present her creation today, knowing what lay between them? "Remember, Sarah," Tom's voice registered, penetrating her thoughts. "You owe it to yourself to put everything you have into this. If you hold back because of fear, you betray your own journey." Tom's guidance stirred something deep within her. She may have felt shaken, but was it fear that would drive her choices today? Or was it the opportunity to turn her vulnerability into artistry? Her hands grew steady as she finished plating the dish, each embellishment a testament to her evolution. The diner buzzed as people flowed in, laughter echoing. Yet her heart thudded louder than that, drowning out the ambient chatter. At the back of the room, she spotted Julie whispering with another competitor. The familiar knot of betrayal threatened to tighten again, but Sarah shook it off. Today couldn't be about their past. It was about the dish sitting before her, a symbol of her struggle to rise. As she took a deep breath, steeling her resolve, she wondered if she could confront Julie in this space of vulnerability. Did she have the strength to redefine their relationship, to own what was hers by right? The question had a direct path to her heart. She didn't just win, she needed to remind herself of who she was and what she stood for. Just as she prepared to serve her dish, a heavy silence enveloped the room as a familiar figure approached the table. Julie's eyes locked with hers, challenging and yet unreadable. The moment stretched taut, charged with potential, and unspoken words hovering in the air like dark clouds before a storm. Would Sarah seize this moment to address the turmoil head-on? A decision spun in her mind, the echoes of both past and future dancing for acknowledgement. Would confrontation bring clarity, or would it fracture her further? The answer lay before her, at the intersection of ambition and reality, and Sarah could feel the pivotal moment inching closer. She could no longer sit within the shadows. It was time to reveal her true self. The air was thick with tension, and as Julie approached, every heartbeat thudded like a drum, signaling the clash of two worlds, their shared past overshadowing a tumultuous present. Sarah squared her shoulders, the plate in her hand becoming an anchor to her resolve. It was no longer just a dish, it was a declaration of her strength. "Sarah," Julie began, her tone tinged with an emotion Sarah couldn't quite decipher. It was a distant echo of the warmth they once shared. "I came to see what you've created." There was a flicker of curiosity in her eyes, but also something deeper, perhaps regret or shame. Sarah felt her stomach knot, torn between anger and empathy. "This is what I've been working on," Sarah finally responded, her voice steadier than she felt inside. She gestured towards the plate, artfully composed, yet marred by an undercurrent of bitterness. It felt surreal, showcasing something that had once symbolized hope, now caught in the web of betrayal. Julie leaned in slightly, her gaze shifting from the plate back to Sarah. "It looks amazing. I mean that." Her words, though kind, felt ambiguous. Was this praise genuine, or another knife hidden beneath the surface? The unsettling dualities played out in Sarah's mind, a mixture of pride and uncertainty. "I appreciate it," Sarah replied, tempted to dismiss the compliment, to turn it into a weapon like Julie had done before. Yet, as she considered her options, she realized anger would hold her back. That was not the person she aimed to be today. In the kitchen, amidst the clutter and chaos, she found a sanctuary where culinary artistry melded with emotional healing. With deliberate calm, she began to explain her thought process behind the dish, revealing layers of flavors and memories. each ingredient a reflection of her journey, a story propelled by pain, but ultimately driven by resilience. "This dish represents my transformation," she said quietly, meeting Julie's gaze head-on. "And it's taken time to embrace the lessons embedded within that pain." Time seemed to stretch. Would Julie retreat from this display of vulnerability, or would she confront the emotional terrain of their frayed relationship? Sarah could sense the atmosphere shift as Julie's mask slipped. The walls around her began to dissolve, leaving a space for honesty. "I never meant to hurt you, Sarah," Julie said softly, sincerity washing over her words, raw and palpable. "I made a mistake, and now I see how much I took for granted." A flood of conflicting emotions coursed through Sarah, a desire for solace mingling with remnants of hurt. Could she allow any kind of reconciliation? Forgiveness seemed like an insurmountable challenge, yet here was Julie, standing before her, stripped of pretense. Sarah opened her mouth to respond, but found herself hesitating, torn between the instinct to protect her heart and the yearning for closure. Could they rebuild their friendship? Or was it time to accept that some bonds could not withstand the trials they faced? In that charged silence, Sarah wrestled with her surroundings. The noise of the diner faded as clarity whispered through her confusion. No matter how ambiguous this moment became, she understood that her journey was about more than just competition or recognition. It was about understanding her worth regardless. From an unexpected source, an invitation to participate in a pop-up restaurant hosted by a renowned chef in the city. Hesitation gripped her. The spotlight could reveal her wounds, exposing vulnerabilities she had scarcely begun to address. But refusing this opportunity would symbolize a retreat, a choice to linger in the shadows rather than stepping boldly into the light. With a deep breath, intuition stirred within her. This was the moment to confront the very fear that had held her back, the fear of failure, of exposure. If she could master the grill, she could master the chaos swirling in her heart. Casting a skeptical glance at her surroundings, she recognized the diner as not just a workplace, but a foundation from which she could launch her ambitions. The following morning, Sarah eagerly crafted her application for the pop-up event, invigorated by the intoxicating blend of anxiety and excitement. It wasn't merely about showcasing her culinary prowess. It was about reclaiming her voice and affirming her growth. She poured her energy into creating a menu that reflected her journey, a tribute to her roots intertwined with her newfound convictions. But the uncertainty didn't dissipate completely. As she hit send on her application, a sudden wave of doubt washed over her. She could feel the weight of past failures looming over her, ready to latch on to any sign of vulnerability. Would she collapse under pressure? Could her creativity withstand the scrutiny of critics? In this moment of vulnerability, she confronted a crucial decision. Should she let fear dictate her actions, or would she use it as fuel to propel herself forward? Each second stretched as she wrestled with the enormity of what lay ahead. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows in the diner, Sarah felt the pull between darkness and light. The answers, she understood, resided not in avoidance, but in facing her challenges head-on. Clarity emerged from the tumult as she resolved to embrace the unknown. It was time to forge her path anew, yet the question remained. Could she transform the lingering doubts into fuel for her fire? As the competition inched closer, the pressure mounted. Would this opportunity be the moment where she truly stepped into her power, or would she falter just as doubt began to creep in? The morning after submitting her application, an electric tension charged the air in the diner. As sunlight streamed through the windows, illuminating dust motes dancing in the beams, Sarah felt an unexpected stirring within. Today was different. She was no longer just a waitress biding her time. She was an aspiring chef on the cusp of something monumental. Her hands moved automatically, pouring coffee and assembling breakfast plates, while her mind raced ahead. The weight of anticipation pressed against her, like the aroma of sizzling bacon, both thrilling and suffocating. She could not help but replay the previous day's decisions in her head. What if the critics favored someone else? What if they found her culinary experiments lacking? Each question twisted knots in her stomach, yet a newer voice, bolder and more insistent, began to rise within her. This time was hers. As the diner buzzed with customers, Sarah noticed a table in the back corner occupied by a familiar face, Liam, an old classmate who had always floated in the periphery of her life. They had crossed paths sporadically at school events, but she had never had the courage to engage deeply. Today, however, something compelled her to break that wall of silence. She approached his table, confidence bolstered by the quiet empowerment growing within her. "Liam, right? It's been a while," she initiated, hoping her casual demeanor masked the whirlwind of emotions inside. "Sarah, wow, you look great. Still mastering the art of serving the best diner food in town?" he replied, with genuine warmth that soothed her nerves. "Thanks. Actually, I'm diving deeper into cooking. I've applied for a pop-up event to showcase my own menu." The words hung in the air between them, bright and bold, challenging her to own her ambitions. "That's awesome. I remember your passion for cooking. If anyone deserves a spotlight, it's you." His praise was a balm, easing the edges of her trepidation. Something shifted in Sarah then. A realization dawned. She had hidden behind her roles for far too long. This encounter reminded her that the world around her saw her talent, even if she had doubted it herself. Engaging with Liam ignited a spark of accountability within her. If she could share her culinary journey with someone, why not pursue that same openness with strangers in the upcoming competition? Through the day, Sarah channeled her underlying anxiety into her work. The orders poured in. Two-timers and regulars alike clamored for her specialty dishes, and she seized the moment to try new techniques on the fly, feeling her concept of cooking evolve. The pressure from the diner, once threatening, transformed into an energizing force. Each satisfied customer felt like a building block, shaping her confidence one plate at a time. As she rinsed the last dishes of the day, an unexpected message pinged on her phone. Notification of a new follow on her culinary social media account. It was Chef Alexander, the host of the pop-up event. The flutter of excitement felt intoxicating. Her application had caught the attention of someone influential in the industry. But with excitement came a fresh wave of self-doubt. The implications were profound. Chef Alexander wasn't just a name on a screen. He represented an opportunity to validate her culinary identity publicly. What if he came to the diner and witnessed her in this humble setting? Suddenly, the cozy diner felt too small, the stakes too high. As she contemplated this, Sarah caught her reflection in a nearby glass. A woman driven by passion, but trembling with uncertainty. Could she truly step onto that stage and showcase her evolution? With the pressure mounting, one question lingered in her mind. What would she bring to the table when faced with her most critical audience? And could she rise above the fear that threatened to undo her? The excitement of the pop-up event morphed into a decisive moment. Could this be the moment where she faced her self-imposed limitations and truly embraced her craft? The next few days would determine if she could learn to trust in her abilities or if her self-doubt would prevail, stalling her burgeoning career before it even began. The days passed with an electric hum, each hour swirling with anticipation. Sarah busied herself at the diner, pushing aside the gnawing worries that emerged with every flicker of her phone. Despite the chaos of orders and the laughter of customers, her thoughts were tethered to the looming possibilities and the fear that accompanied them. She sensed the changing atmosphere among her coworkers. Whispers of excitement mixed with the scent of fresh coffee and grilled toast filled the air. More than once, they caught her gaze, eyes filled with curiosity, as if they were waiting for an announcement she wasn't ready to make. The more they looked, the more she felt the weight of their collective expectation pressing down on her, transforming her anticipation into a palpable tension. One afternoon, while arranging pastry displays, Sarah caught sight of Chef Alexander stepping through the diner door. The gleaming sunlight framed his silhouette, making him appear larger than life. Her breath hitched. There he was, an icon she had never imagined she would come face to face with. He slipped into a corner booth, pen poised over a notepad, engaged in the meticulous art of critique. As she served customers around him, her heart raced wildly, anticipation curling her stomach into knots. Would he notice her? Would he taste the passion she infused into every plate? The thoughts swelled and pulsed through her veins. Each moment spent behind the counter morphed into a fleeting opportunity to impress. The late afternoon sun cast a warm glow over the diner, illuminating a world she had inhabited but never fully embraced. Her confidence waned with the passing time, ebbing like the tide against the shore. Sarah had an epiphany. The fear that gripped her soul only thrived in silence. She couldn't let her insecurities dictate her path. She must confront them head on. With renewed resolve, she wiped her hands on her apron and approached Chef Alexander's booth. Heart racing, she summoned the courage to engage. "Hi, Chef. I'm Sarah, the waitress here," she said, her voice steady despite the jangle of nerves beneath. "I'm a culinary enthusiast and recently applied for the upcoming pop-up event." He looked up, brow raised, his eyes glinting with interest. "Really? What's your concept?" His tone was curious, not dismissive. Sarah faltered, her thoughts scrambling, but the boldness within her surged. "I want to showcase the community flavors I grew up with, blending traditional recipes with modern techniques." The words poured out, and she found herself explaining her vision, her heartbeat sinking with each affirmation she spoke. "Sounds intriguing." Chef Alexander replied with a nod. "Have you practiced any of these dishes? I'd love to hear more about them." She paused, a mix of thrill and self-doubt pooling deep within. Would he find her ideas profound or naive? But as she spoke, recounting the history behind her dishes and the flavors that inspired her, a sense of liberation enveloped her. In that moment, she wasn't just a waitress. She was an artist, revealing the craftsmanship behind her culinary palate. As their exchange shifted from casual to intense, Sarah dared to share her struggles too, her fear of falling short, of not being enough. To her surprise, Chef Alexander listened intently, without judgment. "Every great chef has faced self-doubt, Sarah. What sets them apart is embracing it as part of their journey," he said earnestly. His words struck a chord deep in her heart. Could she redefine her relationship with fear? Perhaps it could be a guide rather than a hindrance. Finishing their dialogue, Sarah felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. She had unburdened herself to someone who respected her ambitions, and those few moments crystallized the dormant passion within her. Leaving his booth, she knew she could take these lessons into the kitchen. As her shift ended, the conversation hung at her mind like a beacon. If Chef Alexander had seen her potential, perhaps there was a way to cultivate that strength. With determination igniting within, Sarah laid out a plan. She would prepare for the upcoming pop-up event as if she were cooking for her own dreams. Reignited by hope, she stood at the edge of her horizon, ready to face each challenge with renewed vigor. But as she closed up the diner for the night, an unsettling thought emerged. The deeper her investment in this dream, the greater the stakes became. What if she dared to reach for the stars, only to crash back down into the abyss of disappointment? That question loomed large. Would she rally her newfound courage, or would the shadows of fear pull her back into silence? The stakes were rising, and soon she would have to confront the demands of her ambition. The following morning was gilded by a sense of urgency that crept quietly into Sarah's veins. She arrived at the diner, barely pausing for breakfast, as her mind spun with visions of dishes yet to be created. Each recipe was a step toward her ambition, a door she intended to kick open. The kitchen unfolded around her with a familiar hum, but today it felt different. Today was about transformation, both in her cooking and within herself. As she clocked in, she felt the weight of her coworkers' anticipation pressing against her, their curious eyes igniting her nerves. The diner had always been her sanctuary, yet now it swelled with potential beyond serving coffee and burgers. She was on the brink of delving into a world that both excited and terrified her. A new energy thrummed through the diner's walls, inviting her to claim it. Between serving tables, Sarah organized her thoughts, carefully jotting down ideas in a torn notebook, the only semblance of a plan she had. The familiar sense of grease and sugar intermingled with her thoughts, urging her to forget the shadows of self-doubt. She dove into her preparations during quiet moments, experimenting with flavors that mirrored her childhood. She pulled recipes from memory, breathing life into dishes her grandmother had made. The kitchen morphed into an extension of her dreams, each ingredient resonating with her deepest desires. Yet, as she stirred and mixed, the formidable question loomed large. Was she merely chasing a fleeting fantasy? That afternoon, Sarah decided to revisit Chef Alexander. She needed direction. She needed solid advice that would steer her through the labyrinthine web of her ambitions. The sight of him, perched at a table and scribbling notes, still sent jolts of electricity through her. Gathering her courage, she approached him, her heart thrumming fiercely. "Chef, can I show you something?" she asked, clutching her notebook, fingers trembling slightly. His eyes flicked up, intrigued. "Of course, Sarah, I'm all ears." She guided him through her notes, excitement spilling from her lips as she described the dishes she envisioned. Chef Alexander listened intently, nodding and occasionally interjecting with insightful questions that made her reconsider certain elements. But with every critique, she felt her confidence tremble. Was her passion enough to withstand the scrutiny of a true culinary professional? "Your dishes are rooted in a beautiful heritage," he praised at last, "but you need to channel that into cohesive narratives, flavors that tell a story. What message do you want people to take away?" His words struck a deep chord, deepening the fissures of her insecurity. The stories of her childhood and family tangibly floated above the surface of her consciousness. Should she expose those personal threads to the world? Could she transform her fear of exposure into something relatable? Suddenly, those very vulnerabilities that had kept her up at night felt like an exhilarating weapon. Perhaps the vulnerability could become her strength if spun correctly. She nodded, a fire igniting in her spirit. "I want to give people a taste of nostalgia, something that resonates with their own memories. Maybe they'll see themselves in these dishes." Chefs around her had spent years honing their craft, their identities shaped through successes and failures alike. Sarah realized that to embrace her uniqueness, she couldn't retreat into the shadows of comparison. "Let's work on that," Chef Alexander said, his tone contemplative. "Bring me your draft dishes, and I'll help refine them. But remember, it's not just about perfection, it's about perspective." As Sarah walked away, a whirlwind of thoughts surged through her mind. The stakes had raised significantly. She felt pulled between the delicate balance of authenticity and the fear of exposure. Was she ready to wield her story as her most potent ingredient? She had a choice: to stay safe within the familiar din of the diner, or step boldly into the uncharted territory of her dreams. The latter felt exhilarating, each pulse of ambition igniting her spirit like wildfire. With renewed determination, she began planning her dishes, knowing her next steps were critical, not just for the pop-up, but for her growth as a culinary artist. As night fell over the diner, a moment of clarity washed over her. She would blend her history with her vision, intertwining them to create something uniquely hers. But lurking beneath that clarity was another question. What if vulnerability became her greatest vulnerability? The uncertainty simmered in her gut, setting the stage for the challenges ahead. Would exposing her insecurities empower her, or would it expose her to the crippling fear she fought so hard to overcome? The next day arrived, cloaked in a soft morning light that dulled the clamor of uncertainty in Sarah's mind. She entered the diner with a sense of purpose paired with trepidation, starkly aware that her journey had fully intertwined with the essence of who she was. Today wasn't just another day of shifts and meals. It was the beginning of a transformative phase, one that might expose her vulnerabilities, but also herald newfound depths of creativity. Her notebook, now filled with rough sketches of her dishes and the poignant stories behind them, felt heavier with each passing moment, letters spilling out like a memoir of flavors and memories. Yet the question that loomed over her was how to create a fusion that resonated deeply with her audience while artfully showcasing the struggles she bravely faced. As the day progressed, Sarah juggled her responsibilities like a seasoned performer on a stage, taking orders, refilling coffee cups, and exchanging pleasantries. Each interaction served as an anchor, pulling her focus back as fleeting doubts fluttered by. Every smile exchanged with customers reminded her of the connection food could foster and the nostalgia she sought to infuse into her recipes.
She realized she needed to test her foundational dishes, the ones that encapsulated her memories. Her grandmother's meatballs, simmered in rich tomato sauce, seasoned with basil fresh from the window box, alongside a delicate tomato salad reminiscent of summer picnics. Would these rooted flavors resonate with anyone beyond her own recollections? Time pressed on, and after her shift, she dedicated herself to preliminary trials in her tiny kitchen. Despite the clutter of borrowed pots and pans, she felt liberated. The act of preparing those dishes was cathartic, sending her spiraling into a reverie that made past fears gradually fade away. Yet lingering in the back of her mind was a growing recognition. This wasn't just about recreating her grandmother's meals. It was a chance for her to emerge from the shadows, to honor both her lineage and her aspirations. As she plated the meatballs, the steam wrapping warmly around her hands, her thoughts drifted to Chef Alexander's earlier words about narratives and perspectives. This was more than food. Every dish had to tell a story, a piece of her she was ready to unveil. Memories of family gatherings around rickety tables filled with laughter and love stirred within her. It was this tapestry of life that she would expose through her culinary creations. After several tastings, constructive critiques ringing in her ears, she noted the successes and failures in her notebook, her fingers more steady now. Each mistake became a learning opportunity, a small revelation about her tastes and intent. Flavors were evolving under her guidance, and suddenly the process turned urgent. Sarah could no longer afford to second-guess herself. She envisioned the dishes inhabiting the diner, each plate a fragrant vessel of story. But as she stepped back to reflect on her work, a familiar fear crept back into her consciousness. What if she was merely romanticizing the past, her memories painting illusions instead of truths? The looming shadow followed her, mocking her aspirations. Every bite she created invited praise from her taste buds, yet would it earn anything more than curiosity from others? The point of decision had arrived, the moment she needed to share her vision. But with that opportunity hovering, there was a tangible risk. Vulnerability would demand face value. Authenticity would expose her inner turmoil. Could she truly deliver a piece of herself to strangers? The impending showdown at Chef Alexander's tasting loomed, fraught with absolute potential for failure, scalability for success, and deeply held fears. Every heartbeat reverberated with the urgency of a monumental choice that lay ahead. Would she continue to nurture her gifts or retreat back into safety, praying for acceptance? As she lay her head down that night, a fresh resolve surged through her, clinging to authenticity rather than shying away. Her story deserved to be told, and as she turned off the light, she reminded herself that, in cooking, as in life, the greatest transformations often arise from embracing the raw, unfiltered essence of oneself. But shadows still lingered, an echo of challenge whispering in her ear. Was she prepared to face the judgments that would come, the possibility of failure lurking just out of sight? The weight of expectation began to settle once more, leaving her breathless with unanswered questions. The day of the pop-up event dawned like a beacon, casting a bright light on Sarah's evolving identity. She awoke with a sense of purpose that coursed through her veins. This was not merely about showcasing culinary prowess, it was about embodying the essence of who she had become. Stepping out of the diner's familiar warmth and into the uncharted territory of her dreams was an exhilarating yet daunting frontier. As she set her station in the bustling kitchen of Chef Alexander's pop-up restaurant, the electric buzz of anticipation surrounded her. The aroma of herbs and spices filled the air, and her heart raced as she recalled Julie's betrayal, a moment that felt like a lifetime ago. Today marked her true emergence, not merely from the shadows of that betrayal, but from a cycle of doubt that had held her back for far too long. As she prepared her dishes, Sarah focused on the stories behind each plate. There was her grandmother's meatballs, simmered with authenticity, drawing on richly layered memories. Next, a new creation, sea bass adorned with citrus and a hint of her mother's old garden herbs, representing connection to her roots while boldly stepping into the future. The first guests arrived, and as she plated her dishes, she felt a surge of confidence wash over her, drowning out past insecurities. With each carefully crafted plate, Sarah harnessed her fears, transforming them into the fuel guiding her hands. This was both her whisper of rebellion against Julie and a testament to her individual growth. When she took her first dish to the dining room, her heart raced. The moment felt monumental. She approached a table filled with diners, a mix of critics and curious foodies. As she described her dish, the words flowed naturally. They were infused with the memories and emotions she had been bottling up. "This dish is a tribute to my family, a mixture of tradition and innovation," she stated, her own voice echoing the embodiment of her journey. To her surprise, the initial reaction was warm. Chef Alexander hovered nearby, nodding in appreciation as he watched the guests savor each bite. Their satisfied murmurs propelled her forward. Here she was, no longer just a waitress, but a culinary storyteller, weaving a tapestry of flavors that resonated with nostalgia and hope. As the night unfolded, accolades flowed like wine. People praised her for the cohesive understanding of several complex flavors that danced beautifully on the palate. She had woven her personal tapestry into each dish, using her experiences as the backbone for culinary artistry. With every plate served, Sarah felt a breakthrough, a resolution of self-worth coalescing over broken trust and past doubts. But then came a moment of reckoning as Julie entered through the restaurant door. Their eyes locked, and Sarah felt a rush of emotion, the echoes of old wounds buzzing in the air. What could this moment entail? Was it time for confrontation or merely acknowledgement of their separate paths? The experienced chef in her urged her to remain focused on her art. Julie approached, a mixture of anxiety and hope reflected on her face. "I came to see what you've created," she said softly. There was no hostility, only tentative curiosity. "I appreciate that," Sarah replied, bolstered by the confidence birthed from her culinary triumphs. "These dishes tell my story, one that I've needed to share." With those words, something shifted, not just between Sarah and Julie, but within herself. The weight of betrayal, once a heavy anchor, transformed into the very fuel for her growth. It was a moment of clarity. She did not need Julie's approval to validate her worth. As the final diners left and Sarah began to clean her station, whispers of congratulations followed her. Chef Alexander approached, ready to express his thoughts. "You did well today, Sarah. Your dishes resonate deeply. You've transformed your journey into remarkable culinary creations." His praise held a new significance, validating not just her craft, but the personal growth she had undergone. Sarah smiled, recognizing that she had achieved more than a successful event. She had conquered her fears. In the days following the pop-up, Sarah reflected on how far she had come. The once biting pain of betrayal had blossomed into a profound understanding of her own resilience. Her confidence flourished. She took on new challenges, offering cooking classes at the diner, mentoring budding chefs, and diving into community projects that allowed her to share her culinary vision. Sarah had transformed from a hurt and betrayed waitress into a confident chef who bravely reclaimed her narrative from the fabric of pain. As she stood in the diner on a busy afternoon, the atmosphere vibrant with laughter and promise, she realized that her journey had not ended. She had achieved a solid foundation, cementing her position not just in the culinary world, but in her heart. It was time for her to take that leap, to explore opportunities that stretched beyond her comfort zone. Sarah felt an exhilarating spark of excitement as she contemplated opening her own restaurant in the near future, whose menu would celebrate not just her dishes, but also the beauty of resilience itself. This was a moment of deep satisfaction. She had proven to herself that she was more than capable, filled with the confidence only achieved through the trials she had faced straight on. Sarah had conquered the shadows, fully stepping into her light, confidently crafting her own future. Now it's your turn. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and promote inspiring tales like Sarah's. Comment your reactions and theories about this ending below. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful conclusion. You need to support these transformative narratives. Don't wait even one more second to make your voice heard.